So we have been reading Bhagavad Gita for quite some time, and we are in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So welcome everyone. In this chapter, we are at the verse uh, 54. Last time we discussed the previous verse, that is 2.5250. Just to give a small recap, what um, Bhagavad Gita was spoken at the battlefield 5,000 years ago, when there was a property fight between the family. We see this in today's world also. There are a lot of property fights. If the father doesn't leave a will, then children are fighting for it. And even if he leaves a will, then still children are fighting for it. I didn't get this much. I was promised 50, but father gave me only 20. I think there's some problem. Countries are fighting over land. We know our country, India and Pakistan, they are fighting over Kashmir. So property fights have been going on for a long time. We currently have a war over between two countries, and a lot of property has been lost by one country, Ukraine, to Russia, right? Similarly, 5,000 years ago, there was this property fight where it was between two cousins, the Pandavas and the Kauravas. The Pandavas, uh, the Pandavas headed by Yudhishthir, and the Kauravas headed by Duryodhana and his 99 brothers. Yudhishthir and his four brothers, together they are five, Pancha, and Duryodhana and 99 brothers, they become 100. So these were the two parties. And it so happened that Duryodhana had promised that if you come undetected after the exile period, then I will give you your kingdom back. And they came undetected after 13-14 years of exile. But Duryodhana said, no, I'm not going to give back. And he said, I'm not going to give back. So then a lot of negotiations happened, because before, if the fight has to happen, then negotiations start. There should be some time for dialogue, because by dialogue also you can resolve a lot of things. And they tried many negotiations, and every negotiation Duryodhana kept saying, I won't give, I won't give, I won't give. Then then the very last negotiation happened when Sri Krishna, who was a relative for the Pandavas and the relatives for the Kauravas also, he was related to both. He said, I will go and talk. I have respect in the two families. I have respect in the two families. I will go and I will talk. And that time, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Pandavas, headed the Pandavas. So he said that, this talk is not going anywhere. Let's reduce our demand. See, we are 5 brothers. We only want 5 villages. And that is enough. Okay, that is enough for me. 5 villages. 5 villages are enough. So, with 5 villages, I think Duryodhana will be able to agree, and he will give us 5 villages. So Krishna went with this proposal, and Duryodhana said, I won't give a land which is equal to a tip of a needle. And then Krishna said, you are forcing a war. And Duryodhana said, yeah, I am forcing a war, but I will win. I will capture you, Krishna, and the Pandavas will listen to me. I'll kidnap you. So he tried to kidnap Krishna, but Krishna is the mystic yogi. He showed his universal form, and Duryodhana got afraid. And Krishna came out unharmed. And they started preparing for war. And in the month of December, 5000 years ago, there's a particular date which is called Gita Jayanti. In that particular date, 7 days before, the war of 7 or 10 days before that, the war of Mahabharata started. So here is a scene that Krishna, he said, I won't fight, but I will come to serve some use. So he became a charioteer of Arjuna. And Duryodhana took all the army of Krishna. And Krishna said, I'm not going to fight. So Arjuna said, okay, you become my charioteer, my driver. And Arjuna took, Duryodhana took the army of Krishna. And they assembled here to fight with each other. And Arjuna said to Krishna, take me in the middle of the battle. I want to see who will have come. You can just imagine there's a fight in the court, between brothers and sisters, family members. And now one of them stands up and he says, let me see who will have come. Similarly, Arjuna also said, let me see who will have come. So Krishna says, okay, fine, I'll take you in the middle of the battle. So in the middle of the battle, he takes him, middle of the battlefield, he takes him, and then he says, here, your family members are there. And then Arjuna sees my grandfather here, my uncles. There's a big list. My fathers, my teachers, my contemporaries with the father, Burishrava, my teacher, Drona, Kripa, my maternal uncles, Shalya, Shakuni, my father-in-law, Drupada, my brothers, my cousins, and he saw 99 brothers of them with Duryodhana. Then he said, my friend Ashwadhama, Shubha, my well-wishers, Kritavarma, my sons of Draupadi, Abhimanyu, sons of Duryodhana also, and grandsons. Duryodhana's son had grandsons also. I'm seeing all my big family, especially my grandfather Bhishma, who loved so much, and Somadatta, another grandfather. So seeing all my family members here, one should be happy, right? When one sees family members, they should be happy. If they are going for some 12th or 10th marks or graduation, engineering graduation or something, and there, all the family members come. For marriage, all the family members come. But here, the situation was different. It was not a marriage. It was not a friendly event. It was a war. And there was a strange war. Family members are fighting with each other. So it is not like all of these were on Arjuna's side. They were on other side of Arjuna. Meaning, if Arjuna sends an arrow, it will hit his grandfather. It will hit his brothers. It will hit his uncles. And it is not something that his arrows were, made of plastic. No, they were strong arrows. They will kill a person. So here, thinking that I will lose my own family members, I will lose my own family members, he became sad and he became dejected. You can see here. And he started saying, I don't want to fight this war. I'm going to lose my own people. And he gave many, many reasons, social reasons also. He says, dynasties will be destroyed, families will be destroyed, irreligion will happen because no seniors will be there, no elders will be there. Women, they will lose their husband, their brothers, who will protect them. They will be exploited. Out of this, some children that will come, they won't have guidance. So they'll be like Varna Sankara, meaning they won't follow anything properly. And this is the effect of war, which is seen even in today's world. After World War II, so many children were without father, mother, and they had such a psychological problem. We see this in Afghanistan also. So before the war, only Arjuna could see all of this. Seeing all this, he said, I don't want to fight. And at the same time, he knew that he had to fight. Why? If a policeman sees a crime happening, he has to go and stop it. Right? But if he sees that one who is committing the crime is his own brother, should he go and stop it? He should still go and stop it. So therefore, Arjuna knew that it is my duty. There is this evil Duryodhana who is not giving my property. and he's forcing this war, we have to get rid of him. And therefore, he knew in his heart that we have to fight. But at the same time, now he has thought of so many other things that he's finding it difficult to fight. So out of compassion, his own enjoyment, if I win, there will be no one, all my family will be gone. My family, all other families, my own family, everything will be destroyed. We have to be like saints. We have to be good people. Should not kill. Otherwise, there will be sinful reactions. So thinking all the both sides, that it is my duty and it is not my duty, he became indecisive. He couldn't take a decision. And therefore, at that point, he surrendered to Krishna and he told to Krishna, you tell me, Karpanya dosho upat svabhava prachamitam adharma samudha chetaha. You tell me, Shishyaste ham sadhimam. I become your disciple, your soul surrendered until you instruct me. And at that point, Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita. And the very basic knowledge, Krishna said that whatever you want to decide in this world, you have to decide through the very basic, essential thing that you are. What you really are. In this life, we see death, we see birth, we see old age, and we see disease. After death, what happens? What is the real thing that passes from one body to another? That is the eternal thing. And therefore, Krishna says our identity is not the external body that we see, but the internal essence, spiritual spark, that is the soul, the spirit, the Atma. And that we are. From that perspective, what is good for the Atma? From that perspective, decide everything. What is good for the Atma? And then you will easily understand what to do. Just like, if we are out in some picnic and we want to eat, what is good for our body, we should decide that. And then we should choose items. Otherwise, what will happen? We will choose items which will make us obese, which will increase our cholesterol, make us diabetic. So therefore, what is beneficial for the self? In this case, it is the spiritual self. What is beneficial for that? Think from that. So the soul takes cycle into the birth and death cycle and into the karma. This all was discussed in the second chapter. Okay. So, yeah. So first thing is we may do some activity for some desires, for some fruit. Better than that is to be selfless. To do it without expectation of fruits for the benefit of society. And then ultimately for the offering to the super soul. That way we will become better in doing activities which are beneficial for our soul. Okay. So after telling that, this is last time we discussed. What are the formulas that he's saying us, how to do work and all? And then we'll go for today's topic. The first formula says do your best. And then give up the worry about result. And leave the rest to God. And second is be equipoised. Equipoised means don't be carried away by success, don't be carried away by failure. We know that Sachin Tendulkar plays very nicely in cricket, right? He's the best batsman, but he does get out. So sometimes if there is success, sometimes there is failure, even for the best of the best. Agreed? So he said, don't be carried away by that. Success, failure will happen. Okay, you try your best. And in this way, when you become equipoised in your duty, you won't be worried about success and failure. You won't be carried away by that. And in that mood, if you do, then you won't get reaction also. You're not entitled for the result. And you won't get entangled also by the result. You'll be free. So the art of smart work is to do it in yoga. Yoga means today, yoga means, people think yoga is those exercises and all that, but yoga actually is much more than that. that exercises and pranayams are actually a small part of a dhyan yoga. Well, yoga is actually art of work. How do you work in such a way that you will connect back to the supreme, to God? That's it. So first is to control our mind and senses, and then is to dedicate our results of our work in the service of God. That's the main thing. Now, hearing all these things, Arjuna asks the next question. Let me check if this website. This website is down. Okay. So he asked this next question, which is our today's topic. Arjuna Vacha. Hey, if there are any questions or comments, you can unmute and ask me anytime, or you can type it in the chat. Okay. So let's start with today's discussion. I gave a background because Arjun is asking some questions based on what he has heard before. So you may, just to bring everyone on the same page, I gave an uh, elaborate introduction. So let's get into today's verse. Very important words. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha, samadhistha keshava, sthita dhikirma prabhasheta, kim asita vrajeta kim. Basically, he's asking if there is a person who behaves like this. Where is our PPT? Sorry. Here. If he behaves like this, how does he behave? Tell me more about this. How does the behavior? What is the behavior? Oh Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in transcendence? Hey, symptoms, what are symptoms? You all must have experienced going to doctor, right? He will ask you, what are the symptoms? You will say, I have vomiting, I have nausea, I think I have fever. Then what the doctor will say, did you check the temperature? Yeah, here. 98 Fahrenheit, 99, 100. Oh, definitely you have fever. How? So, what are the symptoms? Symptoms of a person in fever is his temperature will be 100 and more than that, right? How does he speak? How does he speak? And what is his language? This is very interesting. He's asking very simple questions. How does he speak? But it actually means much more than that. Meaning how he receives praise and blame, affection or hate. And what is his language? Language means not like English, Hindi, Marathi. No, language is in difficult times how he speaks. In success how he speaks. In failure how he speaks. It's a very interesting thing that we may read it as a very simple statement, but it has a bigger meaning. And how does he sit? Now, sit means one may think, oh, does he sit on the ground or sit on the chair? Is he asking that? No. He's asking much more than that. When a yogi sits, it means that how he controls his senses, how he controls himself, how he controls his mind. That is the actual meaning of sitting. And how does he walk? Walk? Now, one may think, walk. What is there to see walk? But actually, it means how does he respond to sense objects? So these are deeper meanings to the simple questions. And now you may think, why such thing? The reason is we are talking about a culture which is 5,000 years before. Okay, so there he's asking a very interesting question. What is it? Sita pragyasya. Sita pragyasya means one who is sthita. He is equilibrium, is equimanus. Pragnasya is fixed in his determination, is fixed in spirituality. So he's not saying about a common person. He's saying a person who is on the level of a sadhu, sage, controlling himself. Elevated level. So that's why the meanings of these words that he's saying, speak, language, sit, walk, it gives a different meaning. Now let's say there's an Olympic runner. And we may ask how he runs. Now, for a common person, it will be like, oh, running, he'll run like that, right? But if you go deeper in it, you can present a half an hour documentary on it, on how to run. Getting? There are Olympic medals on walking also. Now, few of us may go walking for 1 hour, 2 hour a day. What is so great in this Olympic medal? Well, the way they walk, Olympic medal, I can show you. Let me just, very interestingly, there's some GIF here, then you will see it. It depends on what we are talking. Walking. Okay, I got it. This is walking race. Can you see on my screen? Right top. This is how they walk. So if we talk about an Olympic racer or Olympic runner or Olympic person who is walking, they are walking differently. That's why when Arjuna is asking questions on Sthita Pragyasya, his sitting, his talking, it means different. Okay, it doesn't mean common. He's asking for a common person or a village person. No, he's asking Sthita Pragyasya. This is a very high level of spirituality. And that's why the meaning of this word start changing. If somebody got into accident and you are talking, hey, that person got into accident, Rahul got into accident. Now, how does he walk? Now, a common person may think, what are you asking? He doesn't know the background that Rahul went through an accident. So for Rahul, for your discussion, that point becomes very important, right? How does he walk? Walking on wheelchair or what is exactly, right? Similarly, for a Sita Pragyasya, these words they start meaning different. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I spent a little time because we are talking about Vedic culture. So Vedic culture, 5,000 years old, it takes time to understand all these things. Otherwise, we may think what they are talking, just talking and eating. I also do this every day. No, it is for a Sthita Pragyasya. Okay. So, any questions till now? Anything that stuck
No,
into
sir.
your? Okay. Okay. Any other person? If you have questions, just you can interrupt them, or you can type it in the chat. I'm looking at the chat also. You can type it in the chat. I'll answer. Okay. So he asked this question. This is very interesting for us, right? If there is a person who is doing his best, giving up results, worry about the result, how he walks, how he talks, how he lives. These are very common questions we want to know. So he asked the questions for us. Arjuna is a very great personality. At this point, he has forgotten a lot of things. He's been reminded of the spirituality. But for us, we are starting our spirituality. So we need to undergo this. Okay. So as there are symptoms for each and every pan in terms of his particular situation. Similarly, one who is Krishna conscious has a particular nature. Talking, walking, thinking, feeling, etc. So Krishna conscious spiritual person will have a different talking, will make a different walking, will think differently, will feel differently. When Gandhi, he went for march for the salt, right? The salt march, famous salt march, if you know from history books or from the movie Gandhi. There were many who would go to that beach and get salt. But why Gandhi's march to that salt field made into news was taken very seriously? Why? Because it was with a purpose. It was with a different thinking, feeling, right? Similarly, for a spiritual person, all this thinking, feeling, walking, everything becomes different. They're not doing it for common activities. As a rich person has his symptoms by which he is known as rich, and a diseased man has his symptoms by which he is known as diseased. We talked about fever person, it is 100%, 100 Fahrenheit. A rich person. Now, this interesting thing is about rich person, I will tell you. You all know Bill Gates, right? He was former CEO of Microsoft. So it is said how rich he is. Suppose he's walking and he drops $1,000. $1,000 today is 80,000 rupees. He drops $1,000 from his hand on the ground while walking. Now, by the time he goes and picks it up, he has already earned another $1,000. That much rich he is. Can you imagine? 1,000 rupees is $1,000. He's 80,000 rupees is falling from his pocket. And even if he doesn't consider, forget this 80,000, he has already earned somewhere 80,000 rupees. For us, if 8 rupees also falls down, it will take some time to earn that 8 rupees, right? Agreed? But for Bill Gates,
Yes,
he's so rich that he doesn't have to worry only. So that is the symptom of his richness. As a learned person has his symptoms, so a man in transcendental consciousness, interestingly, a man in transcendental consciousness, spiritual consciousness of Krishna has specific symptoms. So he also has specific symptoms. One can know his specific symptoms from Bhagavad Gita. So the later texts are going to explain about this. Most important is how the man in Krishna consciousness speaks. For speech is the most important quality of a man. How a man speaks. We have all given interviews everywhere, right? We know the moment we speak, the other person comes to us what we are. Or the moment someone we are interviewing and that person speaks, then we know. However good looking they may be, but once they start speaking, then our interest will increase or it may completely go away. It is said a fool is discovered as long as he does not speak, and certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. This is the point I was making. A fool, then one may see, very nice, beautiful person. But the moment he will speak, that time he will know what is the substance in this person. Isme kya hai? See, so many actresses are there, right? And people say, wow, they run after them. Tell me how many actors are actually singing in their movies? Zero. There's a playback singer singing. The actor's voice is not good enough. Technically, it means that the actor's voice is not good enough. He has to just move his mouth. So people get so much carried away by these actors and actresses, and they forget that they need a playback singer. How many of them actually do stunts? Very few, right? And that also they will do with keeping beds on the ground, and they'll fall on the bed. Can they call themselves soldiers? No, right? So what is the character of a person actually decides. So fool is understood when he starts speaking. How many of you experienced that unless a person spoke, you thought, oh, that person may be great. But the moment he or she spoke, we came to know, right? It's not worth. That person is not worth it, right? How many of you had that experience?
yes, sir. I have.
Only Shivam is having that experience. Anyone
Sir,
else?
I'm including myself as well.
That's okay. That's okay. 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 Anyway.
Sir, I have a
Yeah.
question.
Sure. Sure.
I had once read somewhere that it's always better to talk less. Like always
It's better to talk.
talk less, like
Okay.
speak
Sure.
less. Always speak less and speak at the right time. Like it's no need to like to talk and give opinion in every matter you hear. So is it true?
See, these statements, right? Talk less, talk at the right moment. These are what to say, they are like zip files. When you have heard about zip file, right? You do a right click and then you can open it, and then there are 100 files. So these sentences have more meanings than just, let's say, talk less. Talk less doesn't always mean talk less. At some point, you have to talk more, and that is less. Right? The teacher, does the teacher have to talk less?
No,
No, they have to talk more. The more they talk, the better it is. But again, what they are talking, are they talking about the point? Are they explaining about the point? Then again, that talk less makes sense, right? So what my point is, there is literal meaning to it, and there's a deeper meaning to it. Just like, I was trying to explain this thing. Could you have asked this question? He talks, walks, and all that, and we are trying to understand what is the Pagyas, and you will see how it is. But it starts meaning differently also. Hmm? So we have to think from all directions. Talking less. So if suppose somebody has to give a seminar and he's saying I have to talk less. So he has been given 1 hour and he finishes in 5 minutes. No, I am falling talk less. That is not going to work. So depending on situation, time, place, and circumstance. Okay, these three things: time, place, and circumstance. These meanings start changing. Okay, talk less, talk to the point. Okay, it starts meaning differently. So it is true, but still it requires some deeper understanding. Okay, that is what I'm trying to say.
okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. The immediate citizen of a Krishna conscious person, he speaks only of Krishna and of matters related to him. So a spiritual person will only talk about Krishna, only talk about spiritual topics. Okay, this is a highly spiritual person. We are on our smaller path. So our case will be 50-50 or 30-70 or 40-60. But in a highest case, it will be 100% about spirituality, 100% about Krishna, 100% about spiritual matters. That is the Krishna conscious person, highest spiritual person. So we have to start from where we are. Okay. Krishna here is talking about Sita Pragyasa. That means pure 100% spiritual person. So definitely for him, 100% he'll be just talking about Krishna. In our case, we are not 100% spiritual. We are starting our spiritual life, 1%, 2%. So slowly we have to. So Sri Bhagwan Uvacha, Prajati Yada Kamam Sarvan Partha Manugatam Atmani Evatmana Tushtha Sita Pragyasa Taduchate. What does this mean? Oh, Supreme Person, I got it. Krishna, he says, Oh Partha, when a man gives up varieties of desire for sense gratification, which arise from mental concoction, and when his mind is thus purified, finds satisfaction in himself alone, then he is said to be in pure transcendental consciousness. Now, this is when he says, what are his general symptoms? So these are symptoms of a highly spiritual person. What is it? He gives up varieties of desires for sense gratification. Meaning, for my selfish enjoyment, I am completely uninterested. So he's selfless. Second is, which arise from mental concoction. Mental concoction means man ki baatein, man ghadit baatein. This will make me happy. That will make me happy. He has given up all that. Suppose we have to buy a mobile phone. We will find we are making so much research about mobile phone. This, that. We will close on either Samsung, Apple, or something else. It is 40,000 rupees or 15,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees. And finally we go and we decide, okay, we will get this mobile. Okay, we'll do all the pros, con, analysis, everything, and we'll get it. One day we will be like, this is my mobile, so close to my heart. Second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, 1 week, 2 week, 1 month. Are we attracted to that mobile the same way that we were attracted on the first day? Not necessarily. that attraction, that whole concoction in our mind that this will provide me all happiness goes down as time goes by. So a highly spiritual person is not carried away by that. If he needs a mobile, he will do the analysis, take it. But he won't attach his satisfaction over a thing which is temporary. So mental concussion, what happens is, what is temporary in this world, people think that will always make them happy. शादी के पहले तेरे तेरे बिना रहा ना जाए, शादी के बाद तेरे साथ रहा ना जाए. You all know Hindi, right? What I'm saying is, some people say like this, before marriage they'll say, oh, I cannot live without you. And after marriage they'll fight so much, and then they'll say, I cannot live with you. These actresses, they sometimes have divorces, right? And then they said, now we are friends to each other. Well, you had to be friends within marriage. That is the basic thing in marriage. You have to be friends within marriage. After divorce, whatever you're not at all related to each other. You can keep telling whatever. So mental concoctions. So we have to be realistic. Okay. And when his mind thus purified, his mind is not going over this concoction. Concoction meaning which really don't exist. Concoction. Spelling it. Concoction. Which means it's not necessarily true. Mixture of ingredients, elaborate story, especially fabrication. It's a fabricated story. So mental fabricated stories, the spiritual person is completely uninterested in it. We are completely interested. Hey, what did that actor told? What did that actress say? Oh, he said like this to that person. That person said like this to me. We are so much interested in all this. Really, gossip. But spiritual person, highly spiritual person, will have no interest, zero interest. So these are points for us. We are on the path of spirituality. We have to reduce our attraction to gossip. We have to become from selfish to selfless. We have to become grave, from gossiping to grave. Serious. And when our mind is purified, that time our mind will become matured, okay? And it won't run after all this thing. Then he will find satisfaction in the self alone. Then being alone, he will be happy and he'll be satisfied. In that consciousness, to be said in pure transcendent consciousness. That is pure consciousness. So spiritual person attains this. For us, it is a process. Slowly it will happen. The Bhagavatam affirms that any person who is fully in Krishna consciousness or devotional service of the Lord has all good qualities of the great sages, whereas the person who is not so transcendently situated has no good qualification. So those who are in the process of Krishna consciousness or devotional service or spirituality, slowly all the good qualities will come. But those who are not on that process, but they are just acting good people, they will act only for a small time. And given a provoking situation, they will change completely. They will take refuge to their own mental concoctions. Consequently, it is said here that one should give up all these kinds of sense desire manufactured by mental concoction. Artificially, such sense desire cannot be stopped. But if one is engaged in Krishna consciousness, then automatically sense desires subside without extraneous effort. So if those are becoming Krishna conscious, bhakti yoga, automatically desires for all the sense gratification will go away slowly. Therefore, one has to engage himself in Krishna consciousness without hesitation, for his devotional service will instantly help one onto the platform of transcendent consciousness. The highly developed soul always remains satisfied in himself by realizing himself as eternal servitor of the Supreme Lord. That I am the servant of Supreme Lord. I am not servant of anybody, but only the Supreme Lord. Such transcendent situated person has no sense desire, resulting in petty materialism. Rather, he remains. Oh, sorry. Rather, remains in his happy position, in his natural position of eternally serving the Supreme Lord. Can you give me an example? A spiritual person, a yogi who is happy in serving Lord. I'll give you a hint. It's from Ramayana. For those who have read Ramayana, heard Ramayana.
Hanuman.
Yes. He is not interested in the mental concoctions. He is not interested in selfish desires, sense gratification. So good thing you talked. Let me just get some pictures. We know from the story of Ramayana that Hanuman went to Lanka. Okay. And Lanka is a place which was very great enjoyment. Right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. And he didn't get disturbed by all those things. Agreed. He didn't get disturbed. There was a lot of gold. It was a city of gold. See, we are looking for small amount of gold. But when we talk about Hanuman, he saw city of gold. One can be attracted by like that, huh? You know? But he was completely, he's not here, but these are all mental concoctions. I'm not interested in this. I am satisfied in serving Lord Ram. That's it. And I'm happy with that. Such a person is pure transcendental consciousness. The exact word used is Sthita Prajna. So Hanumanji is Sthita Prajna. Even going to Lanka and seeing that, there are so many women and they were not properly dressed. He's not interested in all of them. He was looking for Sita. He said, that is my service, I will do. And I'm satisfied in doing that. There was so much of gold. He could have taken a little bit of gold with him. No? He didn't take even an 1 gram gold. He said nothing of this. Instead, what he did, when he was challenged and caught and all that, he burned. He burned the whole of Lanka. Right? Everyone, if we just say Hanuman on Google, all the pictures that we get is just burning. He's burning the whole gold, city of gold. He was completely uninterested in all these things. Right? He's completely uninterested in all this. He was just focused on serving the Lord. That's it. So that is a Sthita Pratyas. Now you got an example. Now let's expand on this. Interesting. We took one Sthita Pratyasa. Now we want to know how does it talk? How does it do? No, let me see this. Okay. Okay, this website is okay. Now we'll spend some time on Hanumanji, on how does he speak, what is his language, how he sits, how he walks. We won't be able to cover everything in the next verses, but let's go through those. We finished 55, so let's go to 56. Let's see. What does 56 means? 56 and 57 means how he speaks. Okay. One who's not disturbed in mind, even among the threefold miseries, elated when there is happiness, or let me copy this. This is 2.56. And 57. In the material one who is unaffected by whatever good and evil he may obtain, neither praising nor despising. Okay, firmly fixed. 2.7. Sorry, I didn't prepare today properly. So I have to Should copy this point. 2.58. Uh, 0.59. Okay. Till 63 it is there. Let me just quickly copy this. And we can discuss. We can discuss today Hanuman, how he fits into this example. So there is some more verses, but we will focus only on these verses today. 61 and 62. Last is 63. So his question was general symptoms. First question was, what are the general symptoms? I'll increase the font. Okay. Second question was, how does he speak? How does he speak? Third question was, how does he sit? How does he sit? And fourth question was, how does he walk? 56, 57 is, how does he speak? How does he sit is 58. Okay. And then last question, how does he walk? Maybe the font. So yeah. So again, okay. Can you read it properly now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So he answers general symptoms we read. We discussed about it. 55. Now, how does he speak? How does he sit? And how does he walk? That will be little later. But for speak, he says verses 56, 57, and we're going to compare Hanuman. Okay. One who is not disturbed in mind, even amidst the threefold miseries, or elated when there is happiness, and who is free from detachment, fear, anger, is called sage of steady mind. Can you give me some examples of Hanuman who was not disturbed even amidst threefold miseries? Threefold miseries meaning there were a lot of bad things happening around him, which were dangerous, but he was not disturbed. So we know that when he put it everything in fire, before that he was punished, but he didn't get carried away by that. He didn't become elated when there was happiness. Okay, burning of Lanka, right? He's free from attachment, fear, and anger. Any example? Hanumanji.
The example you gave, that there was gold in whole of Lanka. I think
Yeah, he was focused on his goal, focused on goal of finding Sita. So he was uninterested in all the gold that was all around, right? He was fearless and he had given up anger. Even though out of anger he burned the whole Lanka, after burning the whole Lanka, he thought about it. He thought about it, I burned so many places. So it was not that he did it with unending anger. He could control his anger also. So therefore his mind is steady. Okay, in the material world, one who's unaffected by whatever good or evil he may obtain, neither praising it nor despising it, is firmly fixed in perfect knowledge. So whatever result one may get, if is unaffected to that, then one is firmly fixed. So how is Hanuman sitting in this situation? Whatever result he got, he found Sita. He was happy with that. He couldn't take out Sita because Sita said, I cannot sit on another man. So he went like that only, returned empty-handed. And he was then asked, "You are so strong" by Ravana. Ravana said to Ravana, he said, "You are so strong." He said, it was difficult to capture him. He said, "No, I am very smallest monkey. There are monkeys who are even greater strong in my army, in Lord Ram's army." So like that, he was, neither affected by praising or despising. How does he sit? No, it's not literally that how Hanuman sits. He sits in a yogic position. He's a monkey. He sits anyhow. But that's not the question. The question is how in a Sthita Pragyasya, steady perfect knowledge, in spiritual perfection, how he sits. So one who is able to withdraw his senses from sense objects. This was our initial discussion. He saw so much of gold, woman, and enjoyment over there, but he was not interested. And as a tortoise draws its limbs within the shell, he firmly fixed. His determination very strong. Okay. Yeah, we don't have much time to discuss more. So next week we will continue discussing about Hanuman and these text, but he's coming out to be a very strong contender of Sthitapagyas. So we have 1 minute left. Let me open up for questions. I don't think I can take further text. So our meeting is only 1 to 2. So let's open up for questions. We can extend for 5 minutes. Any questions or comments on today's topic?
About the mental concoction.
Yeah.
The one you taught us today. Sir, do you think it is possible in today's age of marketing and advertisement that we can have control on our mind?
So we need to have. It is not like marketing and ads, right? They will always go for it. They will always go for it. Meaning to sell biscuit, they will show like you eat a biscuit and you can then hit sixes in cricket match. No, it doesn't happen like that, right? You have to work hard. You don't get it by eating biscuit. The cricketers also know. Agreed. So they will always go for this kind of advertisement to fool us. But then it is a need for everyone to understand what is the reality. So we don't have to get carried away. We don't. The point is we don't have to get carried. Like some cigarettes they give an ad live king size. We should not get carried away that okay, if I smoke then I will live a king's life. No, it is not like that. Your whole lungs become black inside, and you start developing so much or so many diseases. So on the basis of knowledge, we should reject. On the basis of knowledge, we should reject concoction. Like parents, they control their children. Why? Because children are childish. They think the fire is a nice thing. Let me touch it. And the parents say, stop, 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 stop. The child said, no, 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 no. So mental concoction is the child is thinking, oh, this fire looks so nice, let me touch it. But by higher intelligence, that is the parents, the child can be stopped. So, so point is we need to develop higher intelligence. So, stop this mental concoction.
But even after we know that the few of the things are wrong. For example, the phone example you gave, like a person who knows whatever he'll do his analysis, and he won't think about it much, and he'll just buy a phone after doing his analysis. So even after we like using
Right.
using this analogy like for all the aspects in our life, like, we know that things can be
Yeah.
so simple, but even after knowing that, even after we have that level, why don't we apply it? Why do we still fall in the
See,
trap?
we what you're asking is we should not get uh we should not fall in a trap at all. Zero, there should be zero chances of us falling in the trap, right? That's what you're asking.
Yes, yes. Why can't we be wise like beforehand?
We are trying to be wise. We should always remember that we are not at the highest level, we are at our level. So we are trying to be best at certain things. See, some things we can easily give. So some person, he may not like smoking. So for him, giving up, looking at cigarette itself doesn't attract him. But one who's addicted, I personally saw this. I saw an old person, maybe in his 70s or 80s. He was really addicted to cigarette. So I was at Singapore airport. This happened at Singapore airport, and I was sitting in the lounge, and they have this nice indoor, plants, huge, lot of it. And I was sitting there, nicely sitting for my waiting for my flight, and this old person comes and he sits next to me, and I'm looking at him, and he's breathing very heavily, up and down, and his chest is going. I could feel like, okay, he's old. But then I saw a peculiar thing. He had held something in his hand, and it was a box of 10 packets of cigarettes, Marlboro. And I was like, what? Boss, you are like, suffering so much, having this difficulty in breathing, and you're going buying cigarettes. I was shocked. And later, this man stood up, and at the airports, you cannot smoke, but they give a small room where you can smoke, and the smoke doesn't come out of the room, it has been sucked out. And there, in that, there were few men, and this fellow went inside, he smoked. So, when we are at the level of addiction, it becomes very difficult. But before that, there are certain things that we can stop, right? Somebody who's not interested in smoking, for him is very easy. For addicted person, it will take some longer time. Some things, and second and third thing is by experience. A lot of people, we ourselves, by experience, we will understand. See, somebody may be buying first mobile phone, and then he will go through that whole experience and all that, and then you'll understand mobile phone पे use उसका इतना ही है कि phone करो, SMS देखो, WhatsApp में messages देखो, that's it. And suppose his mobile goes bad after a few years, he will go and buy another one. But he won't be carried away by all that because उसको मालूम है अभी experience हो गया है ना. So at that point, he may choose something through his using analysis, budget, and all that. But he will not get carried away the same way he got in the first way, right?
But
It
sir,
happens.
like,
Yeah,
even
tell
after
me.
we know that we don't need three cameras in a phone. We don't
What?
need
Sorry.
like even after knowing that we don't need three or four cameras in our mobile. We
Hmm.
don't need
Hmm. Hmm.
we don't need this fancy display, or we don't need this wireless charging. Like all these examples. But still, like this happens. Like we end up buying things which has features which we don't need, but we end up buying that. We end up falling in that trap. And not just mobile phone, like this happens in like every other thing. So like
Yeah.
I how can we, like even if, as you said, like we cannot avoid this 100%, but how can we become better? Like we know, like
Yeah,
this is,
yeah.
we don't
So
need this.
okay. See, first thing is experience is the best teacher. For some people, experience doesn't work out. But most of them through experience समझता है. If we touch fire, we will get heat. फटका मिलेगा. Next time we will be very careful of fire. But some people will still go after fire, right? Some people will still go after fire. So you have to figure out, okay, for you, is that experience enough or not to make a better decision next time? Okay. Second is, if we are, if we have that knowledge beforehand only, and therefore we are intelligent and we make right choices. This also happens. It is not like we don't do these things. So either we may, if we have that knowledge and we may take that right choices, or we may have that knowledge and we may take wrong choices. And if there is a wrong choice, then experience will try to give us that experience that will make us forcefully make the right choices. You are understanding, right? At the
Yes, yes.
start, yeah. So it's like a thing, if I put it in other words, how does a person learns? One is he's been told you should not lie or steal, and then he doesn't do it. But some people still go and do it. Then for them, experience teaches. What happens is he gets jailed. After going to jail, they will say, "बहुत हो गया अभी नहीं, बस हो गया." But there are still some people jail जाके भी they'll say, "I'll still do." For them, nothing works. Neither being told nor experience works. They are in miserable state. We can't help them much.
Can we say it's
Okay.
ego?
Yeah. We can say it's ego. We can say, yeah. So first is, if you have been told, meaning you acquire that knowledge, then depending on that intelligence, you take the right choice. But still, if we get carried away, then experience will teach us. And even if we know and experience, but past experience was there, but still we go, then there is no, then nothing can, help us. At that point, it will be realistic. So we have to decide what kind of learner we want to be. Do we want to be a type A learner, type B learner, type C learner? So in every situation, we have to decide. Okay, if you become like a type C learner, understand that we are in a real miserable state, hopeless condition. Can't help. फिर बार बार मार खाओ और फिर, like I saw that old person, right? Hopeless condition. Breathing, he was having such a difficulty in breathing. And still he wanted to go and smoke. And experience didn't work for him. He was being told. The cigarette packet itself says, right, injurious to health. But nothing works. For them, we can't do anything. So my point is, you decide what you want to be. You want to be type A learner, type B learner, or type C learner, where you don't learn at all. Type C doesn't learn at all. Type A at least learns by telling, I told and then he learned. Type D is through experience. So we have to decide what we want to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions, comments?
No, sir. No.
Okay. So so let's meet next week and we'll continue with 2.56, right?
56. Yes.
56, yeah. So we'll continue with 2.56 and we'll continue on a larger discussion on Hanumanji. I'll make some slides on Hanuman. how he fits into all these things so that these technical things can be easily understood. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Let's meet
Thank you,
next
sir.
week.